Okay, so step one of the modification process is to remove RL1B and RL2B. And my initial attempts at that involved the use of a solder sucker and my soldering iron. And after about a half hour of trying to unsolder these relays from the board and get them off, I declared failure and gave up. And then later on, after I'd had about, I don't know, 2 or 3 Coors Lights, I decided to use this. So basically what I ended up doing was getting a good grip on the relay, giving it a nice little twist, and then pulling it off. Now this one was already loose and pulled off, but as you can see, there's no real damage to the board, and the relays aren't on there anymore. So I just to let you know that the very first step I ran into a major snag. I just had a terrible time trying to get these things unsoldered. Now I might still have to go through and suck the solder out of the holes, because I think, at least on RL1B, one of those solder pads needs to be free so that a connection can be made there. So anyway, just a quick documentation of how I accomplished step number 1. And while I'm at it, there is a discrepancy in the PDF files on the Genesis Radio Yahoo site, Yahoo Groups site, about where the 20mm spacers are mounted on the G11 board to facilitate mounting the multiband board. The pictures in the PDF file show one spacer here and then another spacer, I believe, right there. It doesn't line up though. The multiband board has a mounting hole here and another one over here, and those two holes do not line up. They just don't. What I think I have discovered is that in all actuality, at least with my setup, we're going to be putting one spacer here and then the other spacer here, and then with it like that the board will mount more or less right there. And that seems to make more sense, because first of all the mounting holes line up and the spacers line up, and then everything else also lines up. For instance, these two holes over here on the multiband board correspond to the screws on those trim pots, and these square-shaped cutouts on the multiband board correspond to these two terminals for the wire connections. So I don't know why, but they have you putting spacers here and here on the G11 board, and I'm gonna say that that's not correct. So that's kind of snag number 2, but I haven't even gotten that far yet. So the next thing I need to do is, well, I'll show you the next thing I need to do after I've done it. Anybody that's been exposed to the documentation concerning this modification has probably had similar challenges as me. The people who generated the PDF file don't have English as their first language, and while they are very intelligent and clever individuals, have done a barely adequate job of communicating how to accomplish this modification. So hopefully as I blunder through this, I'll be able to make it a little clearer for us Americans. Anyway, I will proceed on from here and hopefully stop and take some pictures and video as time and situations permit. And C0Q.